Hello everyone, welcome to our session of learning German with EGIFL. In today's session, we'll be learning about perfect tense. Now what is perfect tense? Basically, when you're talking something about an event which has happened in a past at an unspecified time, which is still relevant to present, that is what we call as perfect tense. That is the definition in English. Now, coming to the German perspective, guys, if you want to say something in past, or basically in German we say Vergangenheit. Okay, so there are different tenses you can use. One is Präteritum, that is past tense. The other one is perfect. Okay, that is perfect tense. Now the thing is, guys, perfect is something which is preferred more for a written and spoken language, while Präteritum, that is your past tense, is something which is preferred more in articles or novels and such kind of things. So in your day-to-day life, we use perfect tense more. Now again, I am referring to the thing that we are describing about an event which has happened in past. Okay, it's already done. Now the thing is, sometimes students, they make a mistake. They are describing about, let's say, a trip they had last month. Now what happens? They start the sentence with imperfect, but the next of the sentences that they give, or next of the events that they are describing, sometimes they write it in present tense. That's one of the common mistake that students make, that you should avoid. Now coming back to perfect tense, what is actually the sentence structure that we have in German for perfect tense? Let's look at it. So at first position, we have a subject. Okay, now one more thing, guys, I'm taking an example of a statement sentence. The structure follows the same as we have discussed in a sentence structure. Verb remains at the second position. Right now I'm discussing about a statement sentence. So subject at the first position. Now at the second position we have our verb. Now when we are saying a sentence in perfect tense, at second position what we have is the helping verb either haben, which means to have, or sein, which basically means to be, but is actually is, am, are. Then after that what we have is your rest of the sentence, or you can call it as objects and all. And then at the end what we have is the perfect form, or of Deutsch, that is in German we say it as Partizip Zwei form. Partizip Zwei form of the main verb. So I'll just write PP Zwei. Now let's take an example. Suppose I bought a car. Okay, I'm describing about an event which I have done in past. So who is the doer in this sentence? I. So I'll take myself as the subject. So I'll write ich at the first position. Now at the second position I'll have my helping verb haben or sein. Here I'll write down habe. Ich habe ein Auto. That was my rest of the sentence. Now comes the main verb. What have I done? I have bought a car. First of all, the verb that we have in German to buy is kaufen. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to write down the Partizip Zwei form of kaufen, that is gekauft. Ich habe ein Auto gekauft. Here we had at second position our helping verb, first position was subject, then rest of the sentence, and at the end we had our main verb in PP Zwei form. Let me give you one more example. Okay, yesterday I went to the movie theater. Again, I am describing about an event which has done in yesterday. So which tense we will use? We will use perfect tense. So gestern bin ich ins Kino gegangen. Now one thing, guys, as we have already mentioned in our sentence structure, subjects can be written at two places, before the verb or after the verb. here I've started an sentence with an gesten, okay, which is not a subject, okay. Why? That you can get an idea in our sentence structure video. So now coming back to the perfect thing. So what do we have? Been, okay, that is basically the helping verb. Now subject I wrote at the third position. Again, for that reference you can go back to our sentence structure video. Then rest of the sentence, and then at the end we have our main verb in its Pepe Soy form. Okay, so gestern bin ich ins Kino gegangen. Yesterday I went to the movie theater. Now you will have a question that why I wrote haben at this sentence, why I wrote the conjugation of sein over here. Okay, and here the Pepe Soy form, both of them have a different ending. One has T, one has en. So now two questions basically. Which verb should we pick, haben or sein, and how do we form the Pepe Soy form of a verb? Now coming to that part, the first question, haben or sein. Now guys, that we basically decide on your main verb. That is, when there is a movement in your main verb, we use sein as the helping verb. For example, gehen. Gehen means what? To go. You're going from place A to place B. You're literally having a movement. That means it will take sein as the helping verb. Next example, kommen, okay, which means to come. You're again coming from place A to place B. Movement is there. Other example, fahren, which means to drive or to travel. Again, a movement is there. So whenever there is a movement in a main verb, we always use sein as the helping verb. Now I'll give you a task. Please write down some of the verbs, okay, which has movement and take sein as helping verb in perfect tense in our comment box. Okay. Now coming back to our discussion. So as I said, movement is there, so we take sein as helping verb. No movement is there, so we take haben as helping verb. Okay. So going back to the example here, what am I doing? Am I buying a car? So there is no movement. That's the reason I took haben as the helping verb. Now in the above sentence, I went to the movie theater. There is a movement. That's the reason I took sein as the helping verb. So this was our doubt regarding the haben and sein part. Now one important thing guys, there are some verbs, as you know Germans have some exceptions. So there are some verbs when they have no movement, okay, still it takes sein as helping verb. For example, passieren. Passieren means to happen. No movement is there. Still it takes sein as the helping verb. Okay. Sometimes we say was ist passiert? What happened? The next one is bleiben. Bleiben has no movement. The meaning of bleiben is to stay. Still it takes sein as the helping verb. So these are some of the verbs. There are few more, okay, that I'll give it to you. Again, in the comment box, write down which other exception verbs where there is no movement, they take sein as helping verb. Now the next question, how do we make the participe soy form of a verb? So guys, in our verb part, you might have came across regelmäßige Verben, that is your regular verb, and unregelmäßige Verben, that is your irregular verb. What happens in that thing? In regelmäßige, it follows the rules. Unregelmäßige doesn't follow the rules. So in perfect also we have such kind of thing. So first, I'll be describing about a regelmäßige Verben, that is your regular verb. Now how do we make the participe soy form of that verb? So for that, the rule we have is GE plus verb stem. Now what is verb stem guys? Whenever in a verb, after removing en, whatever is left in a verb is called verb stem. Plus, generally we add T as the ending, but sometimes we add an extra E. When we do that, when the verb stem is ending with D or T, at that moment we put an extra E before the T ending. For obvious reasons, because DNT or TNT, it won't sound properly, right? So for the purpose of Aussprache, that is a pronunciation, we do that thing. Now, let me give you an example. There is a verb called kaufen, which I gave in the previous one. So, GE plus verb stem, that is kauf. Now, my verb stem is neither ending with D, neither with T. So, what will I put? T, gekauft. Let's take one more example. Machen. Machen means to do, to make. How will we make the perfect form? GE verb stem. Again, my verb stem is not ending with D or T, so what will I do? T, gemacht. One more example, guys. Arbeiten. Arbeiten means to work. Now, GE, my verb stem, that is Arbeit. Now, here my verb stem is ending with T. So, what will I do? I'll put an extra E before the T ending, gearbeitet. So, these are few of the examples of the verbs which are in your regular form or regelmäßige form. Now, there is one more category, guys, in a regular form. Which is that category? That is when the verb ends with ieren. Let's take an example. Ieren. For example, studieren, which basically means to study. Now my verb is ending with ieren. Okay. So now what we do is, when such kind of verbs we have, when the verb ends with ieren, how to make the perfect form of those verbs? Now in this one, what we do is remove en and put t. Now be careful, guys, in this type of verbs, when it ends with eren, we remove en and we put t. And one more thing, we don't put ge as a prefix. So for studieren, the participe soi form or the perfect form will be studiert. One more example. Probieren. Again ending with ieren. So the participe soi form will be probiert. Okay. So if the verb is ending with ieren, how to make the participe soi form? Remove en and put ts, the ending. This is also a category of regular verbs. Now guys, coming to the another part, the tricky one, our irregular verbs. How do we make the participe soi form of our irregular verbs? For that, the rule we have is ge as a prefix, verb stem may or may not change plus en as the ending. For example, common. So for this, the participe soi form we have is ge, verb stem does not change, and en, ge common. One more example, gehen, which I took in my other sentence example. Now gehen, what happens is, guys, ge, root form or basically your verb stem changes, gegangen. Now again you guys will have a doubt, when does the verb stem changes and when it does not? Unfortunately, guys, for that we have no rule. So that is something which comes by practice. So what we'll suggest you is, whenever you come across an irregular verb, make sure you make a list of those verbs in the participe soi form. This is something which comes only by practice. So this is how we make the perfect form of our irregular verbs. And guys, that's all for our today's lecture. I hope you might have learned something new. Please let us know in our comment box, and please make some sentences in perfect and do let us know in our comment box. Vielen Dank.
Eduflair, education driven by passion.